Hello there and welcome to CNR Extra on City TV, coming to you live from our studios at number 5 Owula Hanson Lane, Tesano, Accra. My name is Lartey. Coming up. Hikes in utility tariffs takes off, with consumers calling for the decision to be rescinded.
It's like our leaders are not thinking about us. You increase it today. Don't be surprised if tomorrow they come back telling us, you know what, the dollar has gone up again. They still want to increase it.
Organized labor vows to resist any attempt to include pensions in the domestic debt exchange program.
What organized labor is saying is that on 22nd December, the MOU signed between us and the government is final and nothing will have to be changed.
32-year-old man dies following alleged scuffle involving him, police officers, private security officers, and a civilian at the West Hills Mall.
All that we are asking for is justice. That's all that we are asking for. And we'll make sure that we go to the full length of this matter to make sure that we get justice for him.
And still on CNR Extra, Member of Parliament for Okankwe Central and Municipal Chief Executive for Okankwe North pledged to support the activities of City FM following the relocation of the media house to Tesano.
Everything in our power to at least help you do your work.
As to the value of the constituency in the community, because City is a big establishment. 2, I'm sure most of you would want to relocate and live around us.
CNR Extra is live on CCTV, and you can join us with your contributions and your comment via our WhatsApp line 0204447033. Hanson, Agyeman, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Yes, today is a Thursday, and as usual, we have a lot to discuss. We are going to talk about issues of tariffs but the tariff issue. First of all, let's just have a brief discussion on that before. It looks like this happens to be like the second time it's been increased. Last year, the last quarter of last year, it was increased, and just when we entered into the 2023 year, it's been increased again. Consumers are not excited about that.
So the tariff increment happens on stages. So there's the major tariff review that usually happens in every 4 years, and then after that, based on that benchmark.
So this even tells us that you have a lot of information for us. Let's bring you the first story, and that has to do with the Ghana Revenue Authority, because they are still embarking on their exercise to ensure that retail outlets comply with the VAT invoicing system. As of yesterday, they embarked on another exercise and arrested 3 branch managers of Melcom. Let's bring you that insight.
And 3 branch managers of retail shop Melcom have been arrested by the Revenue Protection Task Force from the Ghana Revenue Authority over failure to issue VAT invoice on some items sold to customers. The 3 arrests bring to 10 the total of shop managers arrested over suspicion of bypassing the electronic VAT invoicing system of the tax collector. City News' Fred Duho has more in the following report.
The tax collector embarked on a 4-day exercise aimed at curbing system losses. The exercise comes on the back of GRA's implementation of an electronic VAT system hooked to 50 shops. GRA rolled out the electronic VAT invoicing system last year in its quest to track taxes paid on goods purchased. With the current value-added tax rate at about 25%, Some shops have adopted schemes to bypass the system in order to keep low prices to attract customers.
It started from the Kaswa office or shop of Malcolm, where that particular manager is in the vehicle as of now, and the second manager here at the Achimota Retail Center of Malcolm is also being invited by the GRA officials. You can see in your show, these are the officials and that of the manager in front being escorted to the vehicle to for his details to be taken, and he will subsequently be arraigned according to what GRA has told us. So in fact, the exercise is progressing, and it's a 4-day exercise. And as you may be aware, the GRA has actually set a target of 105 billion Ghana cedis as its revenue target for the year 2023. Henceforth, they are rolling out this kind of exercises to stamp out any illegality from the system and ensure that their revenue target is actually met. Last year, they were able to set a target of 71 billion Ghana cedis. They've been able to achieve that target and also exceeded it by some 3%. They are hoping that they would probably meet their target for the year 2023 and exceed it by all means possible.
We know that Malcolm, Kanishi branch, you are on the EVAT system invoicing that you issue your invoice there. Yes, sir. But our information that we have indicates that it's not in all cases that you issue the electronic VAT invoice. We are therefore here to invite you to our office, and we are here with the CID. I think we will proceed with the way forward. So,
to explain why you don't issue the VAT covered EVAT.
If you check the invoice, the customer, so VAT is there in the receipt, EVAT. So what actually?
So let's go. Then you explain.
Let's go to.
So the officials from GRA have officially explained their reasons for being here to the manager of the Achimota shopping mall here at Malcolm, and he's also given indication that he's going to call the head office to inform them about the presence of the GRA officers in their premises before they can proceed to go to the station with them, and where he's
arrested the managers of those branches. And we are sending them to our head office. The CID will take their statements, and then investigation will start from there. As issuance of non-VAT, the e-VAT invoice in all the branches, the prescribed invoice that should come out from their system is not what they are issuing out. We took them to our head office. The statements have been taken. They got some people to bill them, and of course, investigations have started. This time, we are looking forward to, building case against them as quickly as possible so that we can get them to the courts.
So how soon would that be in the coming days?
That one, come again?
In terms of processing them for court, how soon would that?
That one, I can't answer to that because my job is to get them arrested. And the CID takes over from there. But we are all bent on, making things as fast as possible so that we can get them to the courts.
So what are some of the terms of punishment or the penalty?
Well, now we are looking at 3 tools under our act. We are looking at the REE and then our VAT Act.
The GRA has set a target of 105 billion Ghana cedis revenue target for this year, after exceeding that of last year by some 3%. And they are hoping that exercise such as this would seal every loophole in the system and ensure that every shop manager complies with the tax laws of the country. My name is Fred Zuho, reporting from Malcolm here.
And of course, the Ghana Revenue Authority is hoping to seal all the loopholes in the revenue generation, system. And this exercise was done on Tuesday. It was repeated on Wednesday. And it looks like a number of retail outlets are expected to conform with the VAT invoicing system. But Hanson, what do you think may be the reason why these retail outlets are not really conforming to this system, and that they would have to be arrested or be compelled to do what is neither of them?
For motive, we would have to get that when investigations are completed to really understand what is happening. But let us be mindful that this is not the first time, or this won't be the only time the GRA will be going out to arrest people for not adhering to the EVAT system. We know that somewhere in last year, somewhere October, when the whole system was brought into force, some of these periodic checks were done by the Ghana Revenue Authority. We are well aware that a number, at that point in time, the complaint that had been given by these operators of these retail outlets had been that the system for the e-voicing itself had not been installed on their systems, or it has been installed and they are having problems with that. But what we are getting for the early part of 2023, and which is this week particularly, is that some of these shops who have had the e-voicing EVAT system installed on their machines are finding ways of going or bypassing the system. So, you know, the VAT is a consumption tax. In essence, there are certain products when you buy, you pay the VAT on it. And then that VAT is supposed to go to government coffers as tax. What we understand is that across the sub-region, there's some 30% average that a number of countries are getting as contribution of VAT to their entire tax revenue. But in Ghana, the last time we checked, it was about 18%. As of the time this EVAT system was being commissioned, it was 18% of our tax revenue, meaning that we're doing 12% less of the average being done in the sub-region. And the EVAT system mainly is to shore this up. So that is why, and this is a pilot stage. And we are now having people also going behind the EVAT system. So what happens then is that for some of the issues that Fred Duho reported, is either you go and buy the commodity, the EVAT is not issued for you for it to be reflected in the GRA system, or the same barcode is issued for multiple customers. So you go and buy item A, they issue the EVAT for you with a specific code. I also go and buy item B,
and you also give it the
and
same
I'm
code.
giving the same code, meaning that instead of say paying 30 cedis for the deducted from the item that you bought is what they are going to pay to the government, which is in a sense shortchanging government. And here's the case that we only have 50 companies who are on this platform. The aim is to get all outlets to be on this platform by 2024. My challenge is that if we are not able to control it among 50 retail outlets, and they are still having the opportunity to bypass the system,
what happens when it increases?
What happens when you have over 1,000 outlets on this system? So in essence, we need to do more, and that is what pilot stages are for when it comes to policy implementation, that you should be able to see the loopholes and the challenges. And I think that aside these arrests, we should be hearing from GRA what they are doing in the coming days to tell us what challenges that they have identified so far and how they seek to address it. The second thing is that this won't be the first that we are arresting. And when it comes to arrest and prosecutions, they are supposed to send a certain signal. And in this instance, I think that the signal we seek to send to people is a form of deterrence and prevention. But if we just arrest and we don't go through with prosecution and make sure that people who have bypassed the system are prosecuted or fined, so that it acts as a deterrence and a prevention to people who may want to bypass the system again, then we may not be able to get our aim or the reason for which we are installing this VAT system
That's an amazing one there. So certainly the Ghana Revenue Authority, from what the reporter indicated there, that is Fred Doho, City Newsroom reporter, indicated that the Ghana Revenue Authority is not relenting on its efforts, but would go out there to more retail outlets to ensure that the right thing is done. Let's move away from that story and go to the West Hills Mall, where a 32-year-old man, Shadrach Alo, died following alleged scuffle involving him, police officers, private security officers, and a civilian at that particular mall. Let's bring you that story.
A 32-year-old Shadrach Alo died on Monday, 30th January 2023, following an alleged scuffle involving him, 2 police officers, 2 private security officers, and a civilian at the West Hills Mall. City News' Caleb Kuda and Patience Biden have been following the story and tells us more.
It's a normal business day at the West Hills Mall in the Ghana South municipality, even though a life was lost in a brutal manner at the main entrance of the mall only a day before. The management would not release CCTV footage to City News, but portions of an amateur footage taken by an eyewitness and cited by City News shows Shadrach lying on the floor, handcuffed. Here is an eyewitness describing what he saw.
I was coming out from the parking lot. Then I saw, a crowd. Then I saw the police. They handcuffed a young man. He was on the floor. Then, according to people, they were saying that the police was conducting a search on the young man, and all of a sudden the guy started running. Then he chased the guy, the young man. So apparently he was shouting, thief, thief, thief. Then people helped, apprehend the boy, and he was held.
Who was shouting?
The police. When he was conducting the search, the guy, I think he discovered something in the guy's bag. Then the guy quickly removed the unknown substance from, the bag, placed it in his pocket, and they started to run. So he started shouting. As he couldn't get hold of the guy, he started shouting so that people can help, hold him down. The guy was held down, handcuffed. Then they were trying to, search him. Out from nowhere, another young man came out from the mall again. And he was holding what's the name? A taser. Tased this guy in the rib, neck, in the hand, under his feet.
You saw these?
Yeah. Then the police, they were standing there. Then a man was asking, who is this person tasing? Because he was not in uniform. If they are arresting somebody and he happens to be the police, tasing, we will understand. But this guy is a civilian. Then before we
was in civilian clothes.
So before we realized that the suspect on the floor, he was not moving, he was not responding. Then he was taken away.
Managers of the mall would not speak to City News. They however shared a holding statement indicating that the deceased was accompanied by another man. There is no further comment on the other man, not from the Wager police, who are tight-lipped on the matter, nor the management of the mall. Amoble, uncle of the deceased, tells City News there were bruises on the body of his nephew, which has since been deposited at the police morgue.
He's supposed to send a small boy, that is our sister in Germany's son, for a DNA test, which is today, because the boy is traveling within the week. And his papers, bruises on the body.
So the family of Shadrach Alo is demanding justice, and I'm sure that the police will soon launch an investigation into the situation and unravel what really went on that resulted to the death of this gentleman.
Certainly, and once death has occurred, the family is within its right to demand justice. And of course, this is a matter that has the potential of getting to the courts, so will of course have to be guided in our commentary on it. But if you look at the social issues aspect of it and what the eyewitness narrated and the perspectives that we've gotten from the family, it tells you that one thing led to the other. Tempers were high, and then a lot of people got involved. And if you consider a number of these stories that we've reported on this platform, it tells you that usually when tempers are high, as a people, we find it difficult de-escalating situations. And I think that is where, perhaps on the sociological point of view, we should also be transferring some energies towards, so that we'll be avoiding some of these needless deaths. I mean, this is a bright young man who has been given the opportunity, and perhaps maybe soon will be living in the shores of the country.
And that was what the uncle indicated.
Yes, and you don't know what might have happened to him if he had left. He might have gotten good opportunities to better his life, at least to also live a fulfilling life. I mean, if I can put it that way. So.
Investigation has been lodged into the issue already. So what we will wait for is the outcome of the investigation and actually what really went into the issue. For one sad story to another, let's go to the Ashanti region, where a family of 3 died during a domestic fire incident at Ebuakwa in the Ashanti region.
Now, a family of 3 on Wednesday were burned to death in a domestic fire at Agyeman in the Agyeman municipality of the Ashanti region. The deceased, a 28-year-old mother, Abigail Menu, and her 2 daughters, 9-year-old Nora Yeboah and 6-year-old Philippa Yeboah, were reported to have been trapped in the fire. Ashanti regional correspondent Fatih Aminu Ibrahim reports.
An eyewitness, Stephen Wundomo, says they heard the victims screaming and calling for help, but were only able to rescue 2 out of the 5 persons who were trapped in the fire.
Around 3:50 a.m., I heard some woman crying, so I quickly rushed there. When I got there, I saw that there is a fire in the house. So we were trying to help, and we heard some sound in the different room, shouting, "Yeshio, we are burning." So we were trying to break and enter and rescue them, but they used some metals to block the back of the door, so we couldn't break through and rescue them. So, but we are able to rescue the landlady and the daughter, which about 12. The daughter is 12 years, but I don't actually know the age of the landlady, but she's about 40 years. So the landlady's firstborn, who is 28 years, and the 2 daughters, 9 years and 6 years, we were not able to rescue them, and they burned too.
Family members and friends were inconsolable as the charred bodies were conveyed by the police to the morgue. The timely intervention by fire officers prevented the fire from spreading to neighboring houses. The affected house was, however, completely destroyed by the inferno. The Ashanti Regional Fire Commander, ACF 01 Henry Giwa, who visited the fire scene, noted that his outfit has commenced investigations into the incident to ascertain the actual cause. He, however, stated that preliminary investigations show that the building had been fortified against possible armed robbery attacks, but there were limited exit routes which led to the casualties.
What we can say is it look as if because of the challenge with the thieves and armed robberies around this place, they fortify their building to ensure that they are not able to break into it.
The incident comes just a few weeks after a police officer and his family perished in a similar fire incident at Apromasi in the Ashanti region.
This has been an emotional moment for family members and friends of the deceased. But for now, officers from the Ghana National Fire Service have commenced investigations to ascertain the actual cause of fire. For CNR, Fatih Amin Ibrahim.
So what is happening in the Ashanti region? Every week, it's like there is one fire incident or the other, and it's claiming lives of, because this one has to do with a mother and 2 children. And the last time we heard of that, of a police officer, the wife and the baby, they were actually buried over the weekend. And it looks like this is becoming one too many. Every now and then, fire situation in the Ashanti region. This is
quite disturbing and
very disturbing.
I mean, we've raised all the points here, and I mean, if you make more than 2 points, you may end up repeating
yourself.
The points that you've stated here. But as always, what we can do is to commiserate and to still make the point that efforts need to be made to stop this. And I think that it is time the RECSEC, and as I've indicated previously on this platform, that the RECSEC or even national security should take it as a security issue and then move into address the issue, because we can't always be reporting of families losing loved ones. And I mean, it may be their problem, it may not be their problem, I cannot tell, but there's a pattern, and that pattern is that rampant fire outbreaks occur in the Ashanti region. Individual, once that pattern has
I think that if the Ghana for National Fire Service has to do something, it must be now, because we are in a dry season, and a lot of these incidences happen during this period. So if you are going to intensify your education, or you move from one home to the other, or you have some form of stakeholder engagement and you go to the various districts, the various municipalities, how they keep their electrical appliances and all that. The education must go down well. And also, from the fire situation, Electricity Company of Ghana and also the Ghana Water Company Limited increased the tariffs of utilities, 29.34 for electricity and 8.3% for water. Let's bring you reactions from consumers of this electricity and water.
The section of the public has expressed disappointment in the decision to increase water and electricity tariffs. The hikes commenced on February 1, 2023. Now, some residents in Accra, however, say the decision must be rescinded due to the high cost of living in the country currently. City News' Akosia Otre has more in the following report.
The Public Regulatory Commission last month announced an increment in tariffs effective February 1. After rigorous analysis and extensive consultations, the Commission cited the city depreciation issues with power generation as reasons for approving the increment. According to the PURC, electricity has been increased by 30% and 8.3% for water for the first quarter of the year. City News went round to some vending points to conduct checks if indeed it had taken effect. Derek Nkansa is a prepaid vendor, confirming the increment to City News.
I opened a shop around 7. When I was opening a shop, they were standing here wanting to buy people. So let's say majority of them. Beginning of any amount you have on it, just take it out. So at least you can come and purchase more. So when I came in the morning, they were standing here. So exact amount they buy, they get it. Because it's a machine we use. So the moment you read a card and you input the amount you input is the amount that gives you.
Consumers and business owners are also not excited about the increment.
For how long would they to
if we know the minimum, I just say, we take effect. Until maybe I cost maybe I pay 900 and I say 700. But those time they spend 600 a month. Yeah, Hong Kong. It's too bad though. It's too bad. You don't say shopkeeper way means to be our a condition way. They make me answer means me increase me way in a kakra, me charges in a kakra.
The Institute for Energy Security, IES, is also lamenting the impact of the implementation on the consumer.
We shouldn't overburden the consumer so that when you push the consumer to the wall, what you are likely to see is what? Evading of payment of tariffs. And that is where you work with the the generation companies and transmission companies to work on the losses they make, because all that is considered in the assumptions.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, even though has stated its reasons for the increase in utility tariff, a section of the for City News, Akosia.
So you saw the reactions from consumers in the Greater Accra region. We'll bring you
It's City on the Go. You don't have to miss any of your favorite television and radio shows on City TV and City FM. Enjoy thrilling content from your world of great television and relevant radio at your convenience. Subscribe to CityTube on YouTube. Turn on your notification button and receive prompts on our live streaming sessions and new content uploads. For easy access to the CityTube page, scan the barcode on your screens. Subscribe to the CityTube for amazing content from City TV and City FM.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. You can join us with your contributions and comments via WhatsApp line 0204447033. Let's take you to the Ashanti region and bring you more reactions as to what consumers of electricity are saying following the hike in utility.
Authorities to ensure improved service, our Middle Belt Bureau Chief Edward Opoma for reports.
The announcement by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURSEC, speaking to some consumers in Kumasi, they described the timing for the increment as very bad, taking into account the current harsh economic situation facing the country. For electricity consumers in particular, they want the increase in tariffs to be accompanied by improved services.
They should let their network should flow, right? So that in case when we come to buy some, so we will get some, right? Because when the network is not flowing, at the same time they have increased their prices. Let's say, for instance, maybe I have customers to serve in my shop and there's no lights, and I go back to the shop and I couldn't serve them. At the end of the day, I'll lose because there's no lights and they have increased the price too.
The network, you see the transportation, like people will be coming from far places to come and buy their light, but when they come and they say the network is really bad, so they have to improve. You'll be taking transport and come here that we want to buy our lights, and later on they will say that there is no network. I don't know why there is a reason for them saying there is no network. Sometimes when I solution for this.
If the increment is going to provide us like have access for some weeks, it doesn't work good for us. I think it's very, very appalling. It won't help us at all.
An ECG prepaid vendor, Angela Dakwa, on her part, is called on relevant authorities to adequately resource the IT department of ECG to prevent issues of network failure.
The problem will be from the IT personnel. They should be able to notify whether, let's say, this period there will be a breakdown in the network. So I think they should come up with, they should be able to utilize the mobile app so that customers will be able to get access to the network.
Many consumers of electricity and water say the timing for the increment is very bad. For electricity consumers in particular, they are complaining about the fact that there are always network challenges that they face which affects their power supply. And so they want authorities to put measures in place to address that. For City News, I'm Edward Oponmafo, Kumasi.
Well, the timing is very bad, but we have no option than to pay. It's water. Well, others are complaining that they wouldn't be able to pay, and that is going to or the prices at which they render their services, i.e. barbering shops, hairdressing salons, people who rely heavily on electricity. Others are also asking that if you are taking this amount from me, you've increased it, then you have to give me better services.
Yes, and PRC essentially are regulators, and they are supposed to play ball with all stakeholders, i.e. consumers, the tariff providers, and as we indicated early on, this tariff review is a minor tariff review. Now, as part of our tariff review regime, every 3 years there's a major tariff review. Now, based on that, then in every year there are quarterly tariff adjustments. So for every 3 months, the PURC will take input from the service providers or utility tariff providers, and based on how certain factors played during the quarter, they may decide to either increase tariff, reduce tariff, or maintain it. Now, if you look at the PURC statement, things that they look out for, one include economic indicators. Now, these economic indicators, i.e. the exchange rate and inflation. Now, if you consider exchange rate and inflation, exchange rate, according to PRC's projection, was supposed to be around 7 Ghana cedis to $1. But as of the time they, meaning that the providers have gone up about 3 cedis more. In essence, what the PRC does is to increase so that they can cover up for their under recoveries. And then also you look at inflation. As of the time they did the major tariff review, the PRC was looking at somewhere around 10.6% as inflation. As of the time the adjustment was being done, inflation was about 40%. So the idea and the thinking behind the quarterly tariff adjustment is to make sure that at least when things are not going that well, you can increase so that it can help the